Hi, this is Hanson from Empower.
Hello, this is Jaclyn from the Empower Initiative.
We just recorded a podcast about college readiness, so both our personal experiences as well as according to some of our research.
And we have also discussed about what we did in the Empower.
So if you're interested, head over to Youth Voices Amplified by the Community Enrichment Project.
See you there.
You are now tuning in to Youth Voices Amplified, a podcast production from the Community Enrichment Project, a youth civic engagement nonprofit.
Hi, my name is Hanson. I'm a final year student studying economics at the University of Nottingham, Malaysia. I am 20 years old this year, and I'm the founder of the Empower Initiative, as well as a global youth ambassador with the Community Enrichment Project.
Hi, my name is Jaclyn, and I'm a final year student studying economics at the University of Nottingham, Malaysia. I'm 22 this year, and I joined the Empower Initiative in July 2021 as the Impact Research Lead, and I'm also a global youth ambassador with the Community Enrichment Project.
Yep, so to start us off, let me just introduce the Empower Initiative. We are a youth-led non-profit organization that is founded to address the whole issue of college readiness in Malaysia, which I think is not a topic that a lot of people here talk about.
Yeah, to the best of my knowledge, I think we are probably the first and the only student-led organization that focuses on college readiness in Malaysia.
So the story of how this all started was it was May 2021, and I was preparing for my exams, right? So I had quite some free time on my hand. And during that time, I started to get into things like productivity, knowledge management, note-taking systems. And I thought, wow, all these things are so helpful to me, and why aren't more university students doing this? Then I came up with an idea to give workshops on these things that interest me, right? And that is how Empower started. We started as a series of workshops where I share my own productivity and knowledge management systems. But over time, I realized that this is a bigger issue. A lot of people were not really ready for college or university. Not just in the sense that they don't have these productivity systems, but in a more general sense that they don't really know what they want to accomplish at that young age. So I just realized that this is something bigger than I can tackle on my own. So I spoke to a few friends, including Jaclyn, right?
Yeah.
And asked if they felt the same way and wanted to join me to do something about it.
Yeah, so my journey with Empower started when Hanson approached me during my summer break, and he asked me if I was interested in taking up the position of Impact Research Lead. I almost agreed to be part of the Empower immediately because I resonate with Empower's mission of college readiness. When I had just started my foundation year at the university, I actually had a cultural shock because the environment was totally different from what I had used to face in high school. A lot of my batchmates are confident in themselves, knowing what their passions are, yet they're very humble and open-minded. As a result, I lost track of myself. I became very sensitive and unconfident, and whenever there was a chance, I would always tell my past achievements accidentally, but on purpose, to every new friend I met, as that gave me a sense of security. Slowly, I realized that I'm not the only government high school graduate who faced this issue, which suggests that college readiness may actually be a long-existing issue among the students coming from government high schools.
You mentioned that this might be an issue, students coming from government school, high schools. So actually for me, I started to realize the issue of college readiness when I was reflecting on my secondary school journey as well. So I think Jaclyn, you and I, we come from very different backgrounds. I was actually homeschooled since I was 10 years old. And I remember going to university was one thing that really worried me because of my unconventional qualifications, and what I did might not be recognized, and I might not be able to go to university. And back then I had this impression, right, that people who went to university, they were super bright, super smart, people who are really passionate and engaged with their subject that they're studying. But when I eventually became a university student myself, things were quite different from expectation. Right? I thought that because of my background, I wasn't ready for college. But when I looked around, there were other people who actually also came from private school backgrounds. They were also struggling because they didn't have the right knowledge, the right mindset, right skills to cope with the expectations at university.
You know what? I'm pretty sure I belong to the group that you had mentioned just now. Yeah, so let me explain a bit more about the government education system. All the students coming from this education system will have to go through 6 years of compulsory primary education, and followed by 3 years of a lower secondary education, and another 2 years of upper secondary education.
So total like 11 years.
Yeah, correct.
Right.
So we have a SPM exam. It is called the Malaysian Certificate of Education. It is a national exam taken by all the 5th form government secondary school students in Malaysia. You can think it as equivalent to the IGCSE exam. Yeah. So back then, we all had a very obvious target, which was to score well in SPM. So throughout my high school life, all I did was to study, to get good grades, so to get scholarship and get offers from top-notch universities. But what is it like in the university? And what is the major that I really want? I had never thought about this because for me at that time, SPM was my only and top priority. Anything else that didn't help me to get an extra A in my exam is unimportant. Considered unimportant, yeah. I can still remember my English subject teacher. He always put in extra effort in organizing activities like class debate, forum, etc. But unfortunately that time, we did not value his hard work because we will instead use that time to solve another math question.
I see. Yeah, actually, my own like private school education, it is quite different. I think the biggest point that we are different is because I'm homeschooled. I'm taught to be very independent when it comes to studying. So whatever that I don't understand, I have to teach it to myself. I have to do my own research. There's no like hand-holding from teachers or teachers teaching me. It's all on my own. So that made me a very independent student to look for new knowledge or just search out things that I don't understand.
I see. Things are very different in my high school though. Most teachers will prepare everything for us and we just have to follow. For instance, the committee members of the clubs and societies in my high school, they are just figureheads. Right? As teachers, we handle everything from the planning to the execution. Students become overly reliant on teachers to send every piece of information to their fingertips. And many of them, right, eventually lose the ability to solve issues independently. This can actually be observed from the culture of the tuition classes in my high school. Right, back then we had 11 subjects, and I knew many of my classmates. They attended around 8 to 9 tuition classes per week because self-learning is just difficult to them. And I knew one of the top scorers in my class. She's struggling to keep up with the learning in the university because she doesn't know how to manage her time. During high school, her schedule was all fixed by all types of tuition classes. And she never had a chance to learn to manage her own time.
Yeah, so actually this reliance on teachers that you talked about, that's the reason why I decided to call Empower. Because I wanted to empower students. They don't have to rely on their teachers anymore, but rely on themselves to make their own decisions, in their college decisions and things like that. Yeah, so do you think that your secondary education prepared you for college?
I think not really. Although my school did an excellent job in helping students to get really good results in SPM, but they actually did little in helping students to set up the right expectation for the college life. How about you, Hanson?
I think it didn't really prepare me that well as well, because I think the only added advantage is how I independently do my own research. But in terms of expectations of college life, I don't really think I was that well prepared, and I did struggle, in fact, during my first semester at university. So yeah, if you had the chance to, do it all over again, would you still do SPM or would you, do something else?
Right, let me think. Although I say just now, SPN didn't really prepare me for the college, but my answer to your question would most likely be a yes. Because despite the shortfalls, SPN actually has numerous pros that we can't deny. Firstly, SPN gives everyone an equal chance to study. Unlike the private education system, right, which normally you need to pay a school fees, SPN is free. So it provides an opportunity for students coming from a middle and low income families to change their fate via education. There are also a lot of the opportunities, the scholarship opportunities, open exclusively to SPN certificate holders only. For example, one of my high school friends who comes from a middle income family received a full-time scholarship to study medicine because her SPN result is outstanding. So the SPN is actually, for me, it's like a door for a not so rich family to realize upward mobility. Also, even if one doesn't get good results, right, you can still choose to stay in the school and receive the education until you have completed the SPN.
So that is our personal experience. I'm sure there are a lot of similarities and differences between government school students and private school students. And there are a lot of private school students in Malaysia actually. That means that this disparity could potentially be quite widespread. So when both of us started off doing Empower, we did research into this area to see whether it's just our experience or is it a bigger issue. So I started by doing a survey when I first started Empower to collect data from both secondary school students and current university students. Results are quite interesting. So firstly, when we asked how important taking notes was, 62% of university students said very important. But only 25% of secondary school students said it's very important. And when we asked them whether they took notes in class, nobody in secondary school take notes regularly, according to our survey. But 62% of university students said that they took notes in class regularly. And finally, when we asked about the research skills, 76% of university students said it was very important, but only 13% of secondary school students thought that it was important.
That is interesting. I remember when I referred to the result of this research you did, right, to prepare for our first focus group study with the Empower session attendees, I formed a hypothesis, which is students, they are generally unprepared for college. And I think the outcome of the focus group supports the hypothesis.
Maybe you can summarize for us what are some of the findings, the key findings in this focus group interview.
Sure. So on the 21st of July 2021, we had a focus group with 2 regular participants of Empower sessions. And then we reached 3 key factors causing college unpreparedness among students from the interview. Firstly, students that have a passive attitude toward acquiring transferable skills for college due to 3 reasons. Firstly, teachers and counselors' negligence, lack of opportunity to practice the skills, and also the poor execution of core curricular activities. Next, students are generally lack awareness of the importance of college readiness, which means they do not even realize the issue until they get into the University of College.
Which means it's very, very hard for us to even reach this group because they don't think it's important, right?
Yeah, they don't think it is an issue. So lastly, the participants find the empowerment sessions bring positive changes to their daily workflow.
Yeah, that final point here is actually a source of motivation for me, at least, to continue working on Empower.
It's a source of motivation to me too. Yeah, so after the focus group 1, we thought of the need to listen from a teacher's perspective.
Yeah.
So we did another focus group with 2 teachers teaching in the government school. There are 4 key findings of why teachers think students are unprepared for college.
Right.
First is the education system, and then teachers and counselors will be the second reason, parents, and also the students' socio-economic background. So despite the factors mentioned above that cause college unreadiness among students, 3 solutions to college readiness issue have also been discussed in a focus group study.
So this is like what the teachers think should be the solution.
Yeah, from a teacher's perspective.
Okay.
So teachers think that firstly, students, they are expected to be open to making mistakes and also learn from their mistakes. Next, students should be independent in doing the research before asking to prevent over-reliance on teachers. And then lastly, teacher thinks that students must not be afraid of asking questions. Yeah.
So in light of these findings, right, I think that's actually what Empower is doing. Exactly, we are a platform on Discord where students can empower other students. Our vision is to see a generation of students entering university, share their experience and their insights to the next generation who will be entering university. We hope to facilitate building this platform for knowledge sharing. We also advocate for the importance of college readiness among secondary students, so that we make this public information. This is an issue that they will sort of understand when they eventually get to university. Yeah. So we've shared about our motivations according both to our experience and also according to our research. I think let's wrap up this episode, right, by giving some action steps to anyone who's listening. So I think there are two groups of people listening here. One, you are a current student, you're currently a student, and you're thinking about entering college or university soon. The second group will be you are someone who is currently in or has gone through college or university already. So I think we have very different calls to action for each group.
Right. So whether you are a student who is going to enter college or is struggling to cope with a new chapter of life in university, I think it is always important to understand your own feelings and accept them. For students who are about to enter the college, try to explore more before decide. Do not decide just because someone wants you to do so or you want to follow others' will. Talk more to your parents about your interests and seniors who are already in the college to understand what it is like in the university. So in this case, you will be more prepared to face the challenges ahead. To those struggling to cope with the college, I truly understand the difficulty of your situation now, as I was once in that position. So my advice would be to take a step back to identify what's wrong. For example, if it is an academic issue, what's causing it? Is it because of the language? And if it is because of a time management issue, are you taking up too many commitments? What are the commitments that you are really interested with? So after you have identified the core issue, face it directly and try to find a solution. While you are trying to solve the issue, right, be expected that the situation can be even worse than current. But you must believe that this is temporary, as we are still trying to figure out the best way to solve this problem. You are trying and error. Things will eventually be better after a while. You must know that you are not facing this alone. Talk more to your friends, personal tutors, or counseling units on campus more often. We also welcome students to approach us if you need someone to talk to. Feel free to reach out to us via social media.
Yeah, so you can follow us on Instagram. Empower is at @m_pwr_. And there you will find student tips and tricks, some words of encouragement from our community, and also some entertaining Instagram reels that you can look at as a fun. Yeah. And if you want to learn more about the Community Enrichment Project, you can follow them at the CEPDC. So at THECEPDC. And if you're a parent or a university student or a recent graduate, and you know someone will be entering university soon or thinking of entering, I believe that we should never be stingy with our advice, and we are rarely stingy with our advice. But more often, right, what youth need is not just advice but encouragement. Someone who will ask good questions and not just impose their own value judgments into their lives.
Agree.
University enrollment is on the rise worldwide. It's becoming such an important stage of life for youth to come to understand the world deeper and understand themselves in a deeper way. So whatever major they end up choosing, wherever they end up going for university, just cheer them on and share your own experiences that can help them. With that, we've come to the end of the podcast. Thank you for joining us today on Youth Voices Amplified by the Community Enrichment Project. Check us out next time to hear more content for youth by youth.